So thank you to the ACFNY for your support of tonight's evening and 2 more concerts coming up. Finally, we'll be hearing from, not finally actually, but we will be hearing from Michael Haas of the exil.arte Center for Band Music based in Vienna, another partner for tonight's program. But there is one innovator who deserves very special recognition, Michael Lahr of Elysium Between Two Continents, along with his partner, Grigori Funlaitis, really conceived of tonight's program and put an enormous amount of blood, sweat, and tears, and also intellectual power into bringing it all together. So it's my great pleasure to introduce to you now Michael Lahr, who will say a few words about
been my idea since I first saw this photo that you all have on the cover of the program. This photo came to us in the estate of Egon Lustgarten, one of the composers who is pictured on the program and one of the founders of the International Society for Contemporary Music 100 years ago in Salzburg. And since I saw this photo, I had the idea of doing something with it, maybe reviving this moment in history when they all met in the summer of 1922 in Salzburg, and maybe playing some of the music that they had composed and presented for the first time back then. In the center of this photo, you see the only lady in a group of men, Ethel Smythe, a British composer who struggled hard to really gain recognition as a lady composer, as she was called. But actually her opera, The Wreckers, was done last year in Blindborn, and another of her operas was actually one of the very first operas done at the Metropolitan Opera by a female composer. So it would have been interesting to do something like that. But then along the way, when we started doing more and more research, and Alexis Rodda came on board, we thought maybe it would be more interesting to focus on those composers on this image that later had to flee when the Nazis came to power and found exile here in the United States, or in the case of Egon Wellesz, who was really instrumental along with Rudolf Reti to create this International Society for Contemporary Music. He fled to England. And this is what you are going to hear tonight. You are mostly going to hear compositions by these composers that were actually written while they were already in exile, and maybe it shows some of the influences that they were exposed to and that they absorbed while they were living here and had met American composers. You will hear maybe some jazz tunes, some Americana tonality in some of those pieces, as well as the usual late romanticism and moderate modernity. So this is what we did, and we went into archives. In some cases, in the case of Rudolf Reti, for example, we really had to look very hard. Even the head librarian of the Library of Congress, who thought that the pieces would be in their boxes, which are not catalogued yet, went himself down into the storage space and came up very disappointed because he couldn't find them there, and somehow pointed us then to the University of Georgia, where Reti's wife actually was teaching music pedagogy, and there we were lucky enough to find those pieces. So, as David said, it took a lot of work to really make this happen, and I'm very grateful to the Leobeck Institute, to the American Society for Jewish Music.
The influx of Austrian and German emigres during the rise of the Nazi regime undoubtedly permanently changed the cultural landscape of the United States. Composers, conductors, and artists found their place in a new land and began to contribute their artistry and intellectualism just as the United States was to enter a period of economic stability and unprecedented political power. For many composers, such as Erich Korngold and Kurt Weill, their forced emigration turned into financial success as they contributed their talents to Hollywood, Broadway, and other American musical institutions. The psychological impact of forced emigration aside, they led long and fruitful careers in their new country of residence. So some scholars posit that composers such as Kurt Weill, Erich Korngold, and Arnold Schoenberg found so much success and dominance in the American musical scene that America did not end up developing its own unique cultural voice. Dominated by the European culturalism of émigrés, the American musical scene proved a paradise for composers who otherwise faced death and persecution in Nazi Germany. However, there were those that did not find paradise in the United States. There are those émigrés that never recovered from the disruptive nature of a forced emigration and the imperative of acclimating to a new language, country, and way of life. America was not without its own issues of anti-Semitism and xenophobia. There were irrational fears that exiles were communists, and anti-communist fervor was at its height by the end of the war. you.